Millia Rage has been out for a couple years now. It's gotten patched quite a few times. And inevitably, when the game gets patched a lot, some characters are going to get nerfed. So today I'm going to be talking about what I think, at least, is the most nerfed character, like, of every version of this game. And I mean, like, you know, between versions. So, yeah, I know you usually don't see me with, you know, a cam on or anything like that, but Pixio actually sent me their StreamCube camera, so shout out to them for that, and also shout out to them for sending me the PX277 Prime Neo. This is the monitor. This is the PX277 Prime Neo. It's got a 27-inch display, 180 hertz, 4040p, 1 ms response time, you know, all that stuff. You know, I usually take, you know, input delay and, you know, optimization and, like, monitor stuff and setup stuff, like, pretty seriously. So shout out to Pixio for sending me this. It's pretty cool, and I definitely plan on using it. So yeah, thanks so much Pixio for sending me the monitor and the webcam and for helping out with this video.
So Badguy.
So, first one, from 1.0 to the August patch. This patch only lasted 2 months. Or this version lasted 2 months, rather. It's Soul. Big surprise. I have, like, basically 2 videos already about why Soul is broken. So, I'm kind of not going to go into detail about this one at this point. I don't want to make 3 videos in a row about Soul. But, yeah, he's broken. Honorable mentions. Go to nobody.
Axl Low.
So next up, let's talk about some more interesting ones. Axl, in my opinion, between August and the October patch, which again is a pretty short patch cycle, is the most nerfed character, which I guess is probably going to be a hot take, but it's pretty heavy when you think about it. So a couple things. Number one, like at a system level, previously jump S, H, and D was not universally like a counter hit property for all characters, and after this it was. And because Axl is a zoner, and he has 2H, which is pretty active. Let's see how active. It is 9 active, right? That move is kind of easy to get counter hit, or if they jump in and you're doing this. Or, as of, you know, the October version, this move is now counter hit recovery, which it was not before. Which means that if you were to jump in on it with an ID, right, you would get counter hit. But those actually are, like, not at all the most relevant parts. The biggest one is to his jump S. So this move was something else on launch. It was really crazy. It was fast. It was full screen. It beat your 6P. It kind of did everything. And after this, it was slower. It now has a dead zone. So let's turn hitboxes on. There we go. Okay, I finally got it. It took me a second. Yeah. So this is the first active of this move. As you can tell, if you run close enough to 6P Axl, you can just, you know, hit him out of it. Even as Axl, who is slow and has a bad 6P, you can still just, you know, right? And then also his jump H got nerfed. So jump H, the nerf was not as bad as jump S. They just made the hitbox smaller. So they made the hitbox for smaller. This normal used to, you know, hit lower, hit faster. In my opinion, doing like rising jump H was not reactable before, and it definitely is reactable now. It's like kind of hard to block, I guess, but like you can probably see it. So yeah, Axl shot like way down in tier list after this because he was like okay, Axl Ram was bad, and Axl Chip was bad, and Axl Soul was bad before, but they were all like, you know, not in terms of like, oh, Axl, it's Axl, anything could happen because it's Axl, right? It's not like anything can happen, but it was definitely like doable. And then after this, like his jump S was just such an egregious move, and so much of his character power was like kind of budgeted into that I think he like fell off really hard since then. Which, I mean, good. I hate this character. Honorable mentions here go to Pot and Goldlewis, because you could now FD Guard Crush, thank God. So they don't have completely unreactive offense anymore. Unactive if you don't have a DP. But yeah, I think Axl probably fell off harder, but I could see Pot and Goldlewis.
Chaos.
Alright, so for June 10th, there's a big time skip, but there's a pretty long cycle of not getting patched between these two. So it's from October of 2021 to June 22. But yeah, it's obviously Happy Chaos. He was, I think Launch Happy Chaos is probably the strongest character this game has ever seen and will see. And it didn't seem that way the whole time because it took a second to figure him out, and then it took a second for someone good to play him. and or someone playing him to actually get good, right? But whatever, right? Enough shade thrown at Chaos players. He was really broken. So let's go over how they nerfed him. He doesn't do Nago damage anymore. That's what I have written down in my notes. He did the highest damage in the game on average off of his hits, which is insane because he's a zoner. And he does not do that anymore. They reduced the base damage, most notably on steady aim. Them nerfing the damage on his steady aim also notably makes his chip a lot worse. So that is also a really big nerf. They gave him less pushback on steady aim, so he isn't, as effective of a zoner anymore. They made clone drain more HP. I believe it's 15 from 10. He now has like a little shitty baby clone when he's at 1 HP. His clone actually, like the hitbox of it, let's turn that on, is actually lower, and obviously it lasts for way less time. Yeah, that's one thing. Very notably, Curse does not stay out on hit, because it used to be if Chaos threw Curse and then hit you and you bursted him, you would stay cursed for some reason. This type of situation used to happen, and you just do this, right? And honestly, Chaos players still do that. His character's still broken, but whatever, right? You would literally get readed after bursting, which you still kind of do, but whatever, right? It was really bad. I have no idea how I got greenlit, but whatever, right? That was really broken. They made reload counter hit recovery, which it used to not be, which is odd because most resource moves in this game, like moves where you get back a resource or counter hit. Them adding counter hit property to K buttons means that his conversions aren't as broken comparatively. So at the time it was 2k 6k, so I'm just gonna turn on counter hit ironically to show that, right? It's stuff like this in the wall break, but when they nerfed that in the later patch, it's now just this, right? But regardless, yeah, he breaks out, he converts, he probably has literally the best conversions in the game, right? And them giving counter hit property to K buttons sort of barely closes the gap. So I count that as a nerf. But now let's talk about compensation buffs, right? So the last nerf that I didn't mention is that his focus drains more when he's further away. So when he's here, oh my god. When he's here, it's going to cost him a lot more focus to do something, right? Or when he's just doing this, rather than when he's up close, right? But when he is up close, it costs less. So they wanted to be a mix-up character, right? And then just straight up buffs. They made his 2p 5 frames. His jab used to be his only 5 frame. And that, it's really bad because jab was on crouchers. They made this move +3 for some reason. He could just do close slash into this, and he's just +3 here. So he basically has 2 close slashes. He also could just do this, and he just does a K button, and he's +3. Yes, FD, blah blah blah. Like I know there's counterplay, but I'm complaining. They buffed roll, so roll now you can shoot on frame 16, and so it's a cross up on frame 17, which means you're getting left-righted, like it's not reactable. The counterplay is to throw it, but he can make roll a 1 frame gap off of obviously shooting or level 3 buttons, which is close slash and 6S, which is pretty good because roll used to be, I believe you could shoot on 20 before, but maybe I'm wrong. Regardless, like it was visible. A big one is they made well, roll is a big one, but another one is that jump 2K is faster and has less recovery. So if you just do this move as an ID, it's pretty likely to beat 6Ps, and it's +2 on block, which means every character except Soul and Chip can't mash here, which is kind of crazy. Steady aim into reload on charge used to be, or is still, sorry, +7, right? And that was the best frame advantage he would get off of it. And so the move like steady aim cancel, so this move where you just input it again was kind of useless, which is kind of stupid, right? And the Strive devs are actually pretty intent on having like no useless moves, right? Every move should do something, except Zato, okay? And so they decided that steady aim cancel should be more plus. So off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure it's 7 frames better than reload. I think steady aim reload is +7, and then steady aim into steady aim cancel would be +14. But tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. These are a lot of buffs, but I really cannot stress how insanely broken this character was before. So overall, I would say he's still like by far the most nerfed character of this version.
Goldlewis Dickinson.
Alright, from one mistake to another, now the most nerfed character in 2.5 is, I think, pretty universally agreed upon to be Goldlewis. I say that, but maybe people say it's Nago. But it's Goldlewis, bro. So this is basically the only case of Arxis admitting they were wrong with regards to something in this game. And it's because they just entirely reverted a buff. Elephant, we're talking about drone, right? This is probably like the stupidest move in the history of this game. Well, it's still really stupid now, but I mean specifically the 2.0 version of drone, because they gave it a couple pretty key buffs, right? So number one, they made drone have less recovery based on level, which is still the case. So let's turn on numbers, right? Drone at level 3 is, oh, it doesn't show. Okay, it's 33 or 34, right? Level 1 is 42. I think level 2 is 37 or 38, right? So drone is way harder to check now. That's one. Number two, they have a higher, like, I think the term is like clash level or whatever. It beats every fireball now. You can't kill a drone with moves that don't also kill fireballs, like Nago clone or like, you know, stuff like that, right? The other thing is that now all versions of drone, or I say now, but in 2.0, all versions of drone would cause a hard knockdown, right? And you can still see that with drone 3. Hard knockdown, right? But if we were to, like, drone 1 doesn't even launch, and then drone 2 is a soft knockdown. Right? All of them used to hard knockdown. None of that is the actual most important part. The actual most important part, his drone stayed out when Goldlewis got hit. And Coil has a great video about how broken this is. But basically, Goldlewis would do this and he'd win the game instantly because he has the best offense in the game, right? Debatably Zato at the time. If you don't have a DP, Goldlewis had the best offense in the game at the time, right? And then if you do, it's debatable between him and Zato. So he would use this and he would just automatically win neutral because you couldn't hit him. If you hit him, you still lost, right? So that's one. But two, the other thing is it made his offense even more the best in the game because he would have basically checkmate situations. For example, if he did, I believe it's throw and then close slash dash Kara, you would just, you know, you could do a meaty throw, quote unquote meaty throw, right? And then if you got mashed on, the drone would hit them. If they jumped, they'd airblock the drone. If they tech the throw, they would get meaty by the drone. If they YRC'd, they got hit by the drone, even if you didn't bait it. If they supered, you get hit by the drone. The DP, you get hit. Like, there was no counterplay to it. So they basically acknowledged that they were wrong about this and then made drone keep hard knockdown on level 3 and not stay out on hit period. Drone is still overall buffed after, like, Season 2, but yeah, it's a huge nerf.
Zato 1.
Alright, I'm gonna try and keep this one short, but it's Zato. This is like literally the most nerfed character in the entire history of the game. He went from high tier to bottom 1 for, at the time of this video, 1 year, but could be longer. And there's a lot, so I was just gonna get into it. So number one, before we even talk about the character, every system mechanic hurts him, including burst being full screen. It's not even talking about break the law, right? Oh, no! He can't do burst safe combos from really far anymore. Like if he just does, right? Or if he does, right? Like it doesn't work. So that's one. Two, Wild Assault. So Zato's whole thing was kind of being plus on block, or not plus on block, but like he basically had significantly better on block situations than most characters because he could just RPS with summons off of his buttons, and now characters can just do far slash into orange Wild Assault, and they just are Zato now because they're just plus off their pokes. So that makes his thing a lot less special. Speaking of making him a lot less special, hard knockdown on Wild Assault wall break also is like that, but he also uses it really well, so that part is kind of fine for him because he could wall break without spending 50 meter, which he like won't have all the time, right? The system changes, not great for him, right? Deflect shield also is more useful against him than any other character in the game, though I will not elaborate. And also, so you get back burst when you get wall stuck, right? And what that means is situations like these, you would want to wall slump and then do a mix-up again and then build 50 meter, right? But now your opponent, well, in 3.0, would build half of their burst back, actually more, half the burst back, because they'd be getting comboed just from this happening to them. And it's a burst that you can't bait anymore from a distance. So that's pretty bad, right? But it gets worse. Not mentioned in the patch notes, but Break the Law loses a burst now. I checked the patch notes, don't worry. I had an argument with Sechi about this recently. This just like the main purpose of this move was to beat Burst, and it just doesn't do that anymore. They did say in the patch notes that YRC beats it now, so I can't call them liars for that. Oh, like this sucks is also a really big nerf. Not as big as Burst, but you know, they at least didn't lie about that. Burst is still like this, by the way, and it's been a year. That makes everything significantly worse because there are a lot of situations where you would do a safe combo route like this. And then they wouldn't be able to burst, right? Now what it looks like is... So, yeah, that's pretty bad, right? There's actually much better examples than that, because that route actually does have solutions, but you get the point I'm trying to make. You would just do close/2S. I mean, I could just do this, right? Right, and this would have been burst safe wall break last patch, and now it is not. So, yeah, it's pretty bad. He was the best character in the game against burst, and now he is one of the worst. So, pretty huge nerf. That isn't even beginning to talk about probably the single biggest nerf in the entire history of the game. They doubled the Eddie cooldown. Yeah, I don't know how they thought it was okay to just double, like this is a resource character, right? And they just doubled the cooldown on his resource. Like, imagine if they did that to Oscar and Chaos, right? And Oscar and Chaos were both already better than him, but whatever, right? Yeah, the entire character is like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do my string, right? I'm gonna do my block string, blah, right? Oh, it didn't work. I'm gonna do this, backdash a couple times, and right around here, Eddie would be back. And then, so you're playing this like mini game for like a couple seconds of, oh, let me fight and get Eddie back, and then it's fine, right? You need to do that for twice as long, and Zato doesn't like work without, like, he's my favorite one to talk about, for example, is that 2S is -7 on hit and doesn't combo into anything. And the main cancel you would do from 2S without Eddie is Invite Hell, which is -7 on block. So that's what we're talking. Like, his reward is 0 or minus on hit when he hits you. So being forced to play like that for that long is really bad. But they actually decided that that wasn't enough. So on top of that, they nerfed his jabs. So it takes Zato's jab 7 frames to reach its full range now, as opposed to 5. And his 2P 8 frames as opposed to 6. Notably, they said this is in exchange for giving him Break the Law Eddie Teleport Swap, which nobody used. The move was useless. It got buffed like in this patch, but it was like whatever, right? So they made his jabs significantly worse. There are better versions of both of his jabs that convert. So Zato's jab is the lowest damage normal in the game, and doesn't combo into anything unless you are dash momentum point blank, in which case you can get jab into 6p. Like that. Otherwise, it doesn't combo into anything. And Faust jab is the same range as it, and is 5 frames, and combos into his 6p into Tornado. Which, you know, great. Anji's 2p was faster than Zato's 2p before, is huge, is, like I said, it was 5 frames before, so you can use it to mash on throws, and converts it into 6H. Zato 2p is the actual lowest damage normal, it does less than this 5p, and is 0 on hit, and that's it. So it's just, I don't know, it's insane, dude. On top of that, they also halved the duration of flight. So flight used to be 2 seconds, now it's 1 second. And then on top of this, he just, like, even if none of this happened, right, even if none of the nerfs happened, he would have been worse because he couldn't bait burst from a distance, and also because it's power creep. Like, most of the cast got varying degrees of buffs, but most of them got, like, pretty considerably buffed to this version, and Zato got the biggest nerfs any character in this game's history I've ever seen. So he was just, oh my god, dude. Whatever. I'm gonna stop before I say horrible things about Arxis, bro.
If I speak, I am in big trouble.
Chaos.
So as much as I want to say Zato is the most nerfed character for a second patch in a row, which honestly, genuinely, he's up there because he was the worst when Season 3 came out, and he was the worst by, I think, probably 2 tiers, this version of the game in 3.5. because they took out a lot of burst drain on Wild Assault, and Zato needed that burst drain on Wild Assault because that's the only way it could stop you from bursting and invalidating his entire character. But whatever, right? Let's not talk about that. Because I actually don't think he was the most nerfed character, probably. Because the most nerfed character of this version is Chaos. Again, he's the only character who's showing up here twice. That should say a lot about... Whatever, right? So he got 2 big nerfs. Number 1, they nerfed concentration on him shooting. I think they nerfed it by like... I think they made it like cost 25% more, which is a super not trivial amount. Like, I know that doesn't sound that big, but it's a really big deal. So yeah, that's one, which makes all of his resources, you know, worse. And then another thing is also, by the way, same thing on steady aim, right? And then on steady aim, they nerfed the guard crush block stun by 7 frames. So guard crush, steady aim, reload, which would have been plus 20, is now plus 13. This combined with damage nerfs he got in 3.0, and then the burst drain on Wild Assault getting lower, means that his resources are worse. He builds you a lot of burst when he combos you, and he doesn't drain as much of it. This character's still not bad by any means. This version, he was like high tier instead of being top tier. And in 375, I'm going to call it 3.75, but there's no like official name for it. But like the current patch, right? As of August 2024, he is top tier again. So like he's fine. But he's definitely the character that got hurt the hardest this patch. Like there are pretty major nerfs. Honorable mention to Nago, because Nago in 3.0 I thought was like definitively the best character in the game, and they nerfed White Wild Assault Burst Drain, which mattered for him a lot because he used White Wild Assault a lot on offense very well. But they also halved the duration that Bite would give him the buff for, and they also made it so you could hit his DP, or it's not literally DP, but people call it DP, right? You could hit his DP round start with like crouching moves, which thank God, right? But I think it's still probably Chaos, because Nago is still top tier after that.
Millia Rage.
So this one is probably going to be the hottest take. In a version where they removed DPRC, the most nerfed character is Millia. Don't at me. Because the other thing they removed in 3.75, again, I don't know if there's a name, I'm just going to call it that, is that they removed hard knockdown on Wild Assault wall break. And I think that there is definitely no character that got hurt by that more than Millia. Her game plan used to be just doing this to you, right? And then after this, she would have her 50 meter because she wouldn't have to spend it on wall break, and then she would just high-low you with Badguy, right? Right? And then have 50 meter, and then she would kill you off of it, right? Which is probably the best that this character has ever been. My opinion of Millia has always been like probably lower than most people, but like, you know, the 3.0/3.5 were definitely her strongest versions, and I think she's back to struggling a little bit because of 3.75. In that, I don't know, Millia became like super Wild Assault wall break centric, in that kind of her whole win con was based around that. Because like when people think of Millia, they think like, oh, you do 2K2D disc, right, and then do a mix up. But honestly, the real like strength of the character was that she had a really good sequence post Wild Assault break, which she doesn't have anymore. And it's really like, it's a lot less common for it to come up because you would need to build 100 meter, and Millia doesn't really build the most meter, partially because she has low health and can't afford to get hit a million times, right? But yeah, she doesn't build the most meter, so you would need to break with, oh my god, you need to break with Winger. I know you don't break off 2K2D Winger, you do set them, right? But whatever, right? You need to break with this, and then have 50 meter when you run up and do this Badguy, which is a pretty big ask. I know it doesn't sound that bad, but it's genuinely a pretty big ask, so I think that this nerf, like, shot her down. Like, okay, this might age really badly, but honestly, I think Millia is, like, probably 4th worst right now, which is, you know, it's not great. And I think she was definitely not 4th worst before, so I think she's probably the hardest nerf this patch. I know, I actually talked to Sarani about this at VSF. I know she disagrees with me. So, like I said, this is a hot take, but for now, and also this is really early in the patch. Like, the patch has been out for a month at the time of recording this, but I still think that she's the most nerfed character. Zato's still worse, though. Like, he's still everyone. So anyway, those are who I think the most nerfed characters of every patch are. Obviously, people will disagree with me on some of them, but, you know, I think generally it's pretty, but most of my takes make some sense, right? Let me know how wrong you think I am, I guess, and then like, comment, subscribe, all that.